fellas. Today we're going to be covering the dynamic tube right here. Hope you guys been doing great. This is going to be a pretty easy tutorial about the dynamic tube. So let me explain what the dynamic tube is real quick. So the dynamic tube is pretty much a tube processor. It can be like a preamp or stuff like that people use with microphones and to make certain sounds a little bit more warmer or a little bit distorted, but in a rich way. So the dynamic tube pretty much has three tube models, the A, B, and C. The A, B, and C provide a range of distortion characteristics known from real amplifier tubes. Tube A does not produce distortions if the bias is set low, but will kick in whenever the input signal exceeds a certain threshold, creating a bright harmonics. Now, the tube C, it's a very poor tube amp that produces a lot of distortions. The qualities of the tube B is it kind of lies between the A and the C tube. So pretty much it takes a little bit from both. So we're going to be demonstrating in a second what the dynamic tube is, and we're going to put it into action. So now the tone control right here sets the spectral distribution of the distortion, directing them into a higher registers or through the mid-range and deeper. Now the drive control determines how much signal reaches the tube. Greater drive yields a dirtier output. Now, the intensity of the tube is controlled by the bias right here, which pushes the signal into the celebrated realms of a non-linear distortion. With very high amounts of the bias right here, the signal will really start to break apart. Let's give it a shot real quick and see how that sounds. So remember, tube A is not really that hard. The tube A pretty much, like I said, it does not produce distortions if the bias is set to low. So let's give it a shot. Now, the bias parameter can be positively or negatively modulated by an envelope follower, which is controlled with the envelope knob right here. The more deeply the envelope is applied, the more the bias point will be influenced. So if we bring the envelope higher with a higher positive value, this will get more sensitive, and then if we bring it to a negative value, the bias will be less sensitive. Actually reducing some noises, some hard noises. So now the negative envelope values create an expansion effects by reducing distortion on loud signals. So what that means is that if the signal is coming in too hard and the envelope are set to, first the envelope has to be set to negative, but if the bias is set to a positive value and we have a hard signal coming in, the dynamic tube will pretty much process it down and control it. So let's give it a shot. But if we set it to positive and if we have a hard signal coming in, it will distort it right away. So now, negative envelope values create an expansion effects by reducing distortion on loud signals, while positive values will make sounds dirtier. So now, the attack and release, which are located down here, are envelope characteristics that define how quickly the envelope reacts to volume changes in the input signal. Together, they shape the dynamic nature of distortions. Take in mind that if the envelope is set to 0, they will have no effect. So now you can actually cut the device's signal output by reducing this knob right here. It's like a gain knob. So now aliasing can be reduced by enabling the high quality mode, which can be accessed if you right click this and set it to high quality. So now let's check that bad boy out. So yeah, dynamic tube right here, and I hope you guys learned something.
If you're an aspiring music producer and ready to evolve your sound, find out more about our online music production classes and one-on-one mentorships at Pyramind.com.